I know who made the call and made the order that I must be in custody yesterday.
How do you know he made the call?
He made the call because we listened to their calls. The government thinks that they're the only ones that listen to calls, but we also have our ways. He made the call, he gave the order.
And that was the statement that landed Nasir El-Rufai in legal trouble as the federal government has filed charges against the former Kaduna State governor. According to court documents, the prosecution claimed that on February 13, 2026, El-Rufai admitted that he and others unlawfully intercepted the phone communications of the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. In count 1, the federal government alleges that the admission amounts to an offence contrary to and punishable under Section 12(1) of the Cybercrimes Prohibition, Prevention, etc. Amendment Act 2024. Joining us on the show to discuss the charges against El-Rufai and the ongoing dispute between the former Kaduna governor and the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, is Professor Ikechukwu, Executive Director, Development Specs Academy. He would also touch on the Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, who explained that he chose to appear weak in the political crisis that enveloped his state in the interest of peace. Good morning, Professor, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning. Certainly you have a loaded week. Too many events tumbling on each other, but here we are.
Here we are. Thank you for joining us.
Let's dissect some of them.
Well, is this the first time I'm seeing you this year? So will it be appropriate to wish you Happy New Year, right? Okay.
I think so, Ruben. We have an unfinished matter, but that's off the camera.
Anyway, very
good to see you.
Yes, good.
Oh, by the way, Saro, by the way on the side.
Yes.
By the way on the side, don't show interest in my cap this time. This is a new year, please. That is always.
Anyway, I will see very quickly.
All right.
Your take on the matter involving Nasir El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State. Two issues. On the DSS side, he's been accused of a violation of other people's privacy and making self-incriminating statements on television. And then on the other side, the EFCC says that he has to account for a certain missing 432 billion naira. Now, he was detained by the EFCC. The DSS is saying they are going to charge him to court. And I've said at the bottom of it is national security and the fact that the state needs to make the point that no individual is above the law and no one can overwhelm the Nigerian state. Over to you.
Well, the statements of Nasir El-Rufai are not gestural, or if you like, he wasn't guessing. He made very specific statements declaring that the communication lines of the NSA is, if you like, tapped, declaring even more convincingly, in case you're doubting him, that it's not only the government that have the capacity to do that. And you use the expression self-incriminating correctly, because you have no right to violate anybody's privacy. If somebody is holding a public office and you violate the privacy of confidential information or information access to that office, is also a violation of privacy. On top of that is an encroachment on the infrastructure of national security, and therefore that makes you a potential, if not active, threat to national security. So I don't know, even if he did that, I don't know who advised him to go public on it. To that extent, the provisions of the law apply to him as one who has violated everything violatable under that section, and therefore, to that extent, there's grounds for DSS picking him up. Come and explain to us how this is, all this you're saying. So it's understandable, it's unfortunate for him, and I do not suppose he can now go to court, as I understand he will be arraigned, to say, oh, I didn't say it. It's on video, it's all over the internet, and he declared it with some form of triumphalism. That means, in my view, that the NSA's lines are being monitored by persons whom El-Rufai knows. That means that it will be the duty of the state to want to ascertain from him who these people are, what they are doing with that information, for how long this has been going on, and to what extent that's an issue for national security. At the second level, and that applies to the office of the NSA, my question would be, how could this happen? This is the National Security Advisor, a critical pillar in the national security infrastructure. When you say National Security Advisor, you're talking about an office that is probably the clearinghouse for all that happens in connection with security by way of final advice to the president from all the services and paramilitary agencies. And that line is monitored, which means subversion of national security must have been going on, if indeed it's being monitored. That means government conversations about security between the NSA and any agency of government has been monitored over time for possible subversion of measures planned by the government for security. So to that extent, I think this is not amusing at all. The attempt to present it as political persecution, oh, you know, because I'm this, you use the expression, nobody is above the law. Yes, it is true. Some might argue that, well, some people are going free because of where they belong politically. But the issue is this. You cannot run foul of the law in a way that's conspicuous and then turn around to say, oh, there are also people who are misbehaving, and are you misbehaving? I may be mistaken, but this seems to me to be one of El-Rufai's biggest political mistakes in his career as a public officer. It's a matter of national security. Remember, there are 4 countries under pressure from Boko Haram and insurgents and terrorists: Nigeria, Chad, Niger, and Cameroon. Those countries would be interested in El-Rufai's statements. So this is a frightening reality that has to be taken with every seriousness. If it was intended to gain political mileage, well, he has got more mileage than they can handle. I don't see anybody joking with this. And you know, El-Rufai, we must be fair, El-Rufai is one of the most intelligent people I've met, ever as an adult. He is very organized, very structured, meticulous in everything he does. And if you look at his academic record, from O-level everywhere, he was an excellent student, so he can be underrated, and also very thorough in inspecting things. So those who know him well will tell you, don't joke with this statement. Let Nasir tell us who he's been working with. So this is a very tricky situation for him, if you ask me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor Ikechukwu. Now, some people might ask the question, how could this have happened at that level where the National Security Advisor's phone was bugged? And the question I'd like to ask you this morning, is it preventable? Bear in mind the US example of Mike Waltz in March of 2025, who had created a Signal account where he erroneously added a journalist to the group and then leaked some very sensitive security information on that platform. I'm trying to say that it can happen anywhere, but is it possible that this can be preventable, especially since it's a serious breach of security? It could have been any conversation he was having. It could have been matters of very sensitive, security information, which someone else, if El-Rufai admitted that he and some other people intercepted it, other people very well could have intercepted it. Could this have been prevented? Or what should be done to tighten it further?
No. What I will start from the US example of, remember that I think that was 4 years ago.
No, it was
Nigeria was able to secure green card for, sorry?
No, go ahead, please.
About 4 years ago, you say, Nigeria was able to secure green card for about between 3 and 7 members of his family by hacking into the US, what do you call it? Whatever this thing is. So it can happen anywhere. American elections, Americans have been accusing Russia. So it is technology. Anything can be accessed off the web, the deep web, or any other platform. So it's conceivable it can happen. Is it avoidable? Yes, but today, with the level of technology, there is never and no longer any guarantee on any information, on any platform. And the US will tell you that, CIA will tell you that. I recall in a class, I was taking some students, a PG postgraduate class in NDA, and they raised the issue, is there any guaranteed platform that can make you not to be vulnerable 100%? I told them the answer is no. Go and ask the CIA, the answer is no. But that will require you to do not just multi-level authentication, as they will call it. It will require you to do a lot of access segregation, such that information is filtered and doubly filtered, but the vulnerability remains. What gives me concern in this instance, beyond El-Rufai's allegation and the likelihood of it being true, is the need for the Office of the NSA to develop a profile that will be slightly different from what is being seen at the moment. You know, he's been accused of all kinds of things, which I don't believe. I think El-Rufai, even others have accused it of support of subtly encouraging kidnapping, which of course cannot be true. But look at the facts, look at their reasons for saying that. Some people are kidnapped, they are rescued, and at the time they are being shown to us, they're even wearing uniform. They are rescued, they're taken care of, and we're told, oh, we rescued them without, through non-kinetic means. That means you got the children and took them from the criminals who kidnapped them. Please, how many people did you arrest? What is their location? What method did you use? And you find a case, the more recent case, well, it was last year, where the bandits made a video and said, your people are just joking. They paid us. That's why we allowed them to take the girls and go. And nobody is a fool. Children are packed away in the hundreds. You go and rescue them by non-kinetic means. Those you took it from are still in Nigeria. Let's be realistic. This development will present a compelling reason. Look, the NSA is not a child. He's not coming on this scene for the first time. You remember there was a coup report by people, some people in his office were involved, but he was not. So his own patriotism and profile must not rest on the goodwill of people. There must be conscious and deliberate structures to make sure the integrity of that office stands. And I recall there was a question about Rivers. Or are we still on?
No, not yet.
Hello?
Let's exhaust this El-Rufai.
Oh, okay, fine. So continue. Yes, I'm ready on
I
this.
wanted to ask you. You talked
please.
about people, complaining about political persecution. I think it's important to interrogate that a little bit further. Now, when El-Rufai arrived from Cairo, there was this incident at the airport about...
Airport.
Yes, people saying, oh, you cannot arrest him, he's this and that. He himself saying he should get a formal invitation. What the law says is that you can be arrested on the basis of reasonable suspicion. It's not in every case that, people are required to be formally invited. That's what the Administration of Criminal Justice Act,
the law
2015 says. So that's aside. But still, people have continued to protest, either in Kaduna, where there was also a counter-protest, or in Abuja, saying that you cannot arrest Nasir El-Rufai. Now, are they right to say this is a case of political persecution, or it is something that should be taken with a pinch of salt?
Robert, between us and every other person on this set now, we are familiar with the history and nature of riots. Most riots are sponsored, but I'll come to that shortly. Now, on what basis are these people protesting? What's their interest in the matter? Do they know the law and they are saying that the law is violated? Or are they procured people to create a profile? And I'll go back to the nature of riots. You recall that sometime, that was during Jonathan, when there was some controversy over the purchase of cars in the Ministry of Aviation and all of that. People were rioting, investigation should go on, it should be unchallenged. Interestingly, those rioting, I think there's somebody who knew the person who arranged the riots in support of government. They couldn't have contacted anybody stronger than him, so they also reached out to him. He divided his rioting group into two, one for and one against, all for a fee. So nobody in Abuja, people are poor, people are hungry, people are confused, people are not aware fundamentally of what issues El-Rufai may or may not have. And you can go and take the profile of those who are rioting and ask yourselves their local standard on the matter. So riots must not distract us from substantive issues. It's as simple. Abuja is a terrible place to riot. Within 31 minutes, 1 hour, you're so hot. You know, the environment is a city of concrete. Heat is coming from the floor. The sun is on top of you at this time of the year. And you come out to riot just like that. You see, when a visa has expired, stop using it. Riots are no longer basis for altering public consciousness. Now, the matter of political persecution, nobody has a right to persecute anybody politically, particularly El-Rufai. We know the personal sacrifices he made. They could have killed him when he was SVT minister trying to restore the master plan. But all of that aside, there's a substantive question of what you're being accused of. Is it true? None of us can say it's true. Those investigating, do they have a right to do that? Yes, it is their duty. Thirdly, and most importantly, do you also have a duty to respond to the call? Do they have a right to take you in, then take you to court for a final, unquestionable pronouncement on your guilt or innocence? The answer is yes. So even if there's political persecution, an issue to look at is there a basis for the action that's now being interpreted as political persecution? My answer is yes. And you recall a statement the EFCC chairman made. He has made it more than twice on public occasions. He said, by the time we invite anybody, we almost have conclusive evidence. In other words, it will be impossible that the first plea you get away with is that you have no case to answer. I don't suppose the EFCC will be so reckless as to pick up a man like El-Rufai, knowing his profile, knowing his capacity, knowing his connections, and knowing the kind of goodwill he enjoys in some places, you go and just pick him up on trumped-up charges. No. What he should do, since they've taken the matter to court, the matter is now about who going to court, 400 and something billion. Please recall that one of the closest friends of Nasir El-Rufai in the last 20 years or more that I know is the current governor of Kaduna State. He also worked with him. So for him to boldly indicate through his cabinet and with his cabinet that this amount of money is missing and that his friend has no right to bundle up the commonwealth of Kaduna State people, putting those two facts together, the normal approach of the EFCC and the fact that Obasani, his friend, is the governor, and who was also around, tells us that the best thing is to let this thing play out. Obasani will not really take the risk of, So I think those are the points on that matter for me.
Okay, Prof. Good to see you. Two things I'd like to talk about. Number one, thallium sulfate. You ever heard that name?
Yeah.
Thallium sulfate, yeah. And
I have.
It's a very important conversation.
I was a student.
It's a very important conversation about thallium sulfate because we've heard cases like Alexander Nevitnenko. We've heard Alexei Navalny. We've heard Sergei Skripal. The authorities of state have said they would like to call on him to come and provide more evidence as regards the importation of thallium sulfate. That's one. Two, the question is, let's posit it this way. For those that are saying this is political, let us play the devil's advocate by saying it's not political. It's not political, but why now? Because these allegations against El-Rufai was made by the incumbent governor of Kaduna State. In fact, we had people to come talk about those allegations from day one when he got into office. But we never saw the activity. Just like the conversation about Malami. Why is it that it's after Malami declared for ADC that we see a lot of the activities around him? And this government is not a new government. This government got in 2023, 24, then late 25 after ADC emerged or declaration was made. Then we started seeing activity. Next person is El-Rufai. The question will be, who will be next? And the third argument I want to make is, you and I know that there are people in this administration that hold key position in this government, that they have their files very big in EFCC. Why hasn't EFCC gone after them? Is it a case of your sins are forgiven? Those are the arguments I want to put forward. That is a conversation. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, the possibility of political persecution and the use of institutions for that purpose is not new. You recall that was also the allegation against the Obasanjo government, that he was only persecuting enemies. And in fact, when he had a tiff with Atiku, Atiku got on, was in the media at some point saying that they are persecuting only his friends. Then somebody smartly replied, if they're only arresting your friends for corruption, it means that you're only associated with corrupt people. You know, the same allegation was also made in the Jonathan government under Buhari. But there's an interesting case I would like to mention. Sometime in 2019, somebody said McCarthy wanted to see me. I think the former governor of Sokoto State. I went, he said he wanted to go for president. You recall he took part in the PD primaries and laws. I wanted to go for president, and that I've been, recommended to spearhead, organize and run the campaign, etc. I said, well, two things, sir. Number one, I know you have a case with one of the investigative agencies on prayers for 2-point-something million. The second thing is that I've not been I've been in Sokoto State. I was in Sokoto State, once when you were governor. I need to go to Sokoto State and see what you've done. He chuckled. I said, let me tell you why, sir. I will not take responsibility for helping somebody become president because he's paying. I need somebody who, if you damage people's lives, or if that's what you've done before, you want to expand it to the national level, and I give you a fantastic campaign, it is a sin. It is something I will have to account for before the Almighty God. So I need to know. He sat back, sent for a file, and brought the file and showed it to me. The entire money, the total amount, the names of those to whom every penny was wired. I said, so how come you're the only one in court? He said that's the question he's asking himself. That is it's being used to hold him back. Anytime he wants it to appear in the media and people, but they don't know the facts. I say, what? He said, look at the files. And I say, I saw everything. The next thing was I went to Kaduna, to Sokoto. I was there, I think, for 3 days. They showed me everything he had done. By then, Tambuwal was governor and all of that. Practically everything, the dualized routes and co. Now, why am I bringing this up? The question of political persecution, a lot of us know that it occurs. We also know that people we expect to be in the line of fire, suddenly they are walking around, they're in good health, and they are alleged to be of good behavior because of their change of political loyalty. It is there. But it doesn't remove the primary fact that for any agency to call on you, they'll have a reason.
Okay.
Now, on the matter of institutional integrity, the government, clearly, all governments play this game. No question about that. Peter El-Rufai has become their enemy because he left.
All right. Okay, thank you. Just before we let you go, sir, your quick take on Governor Siminalayi Fubara of River State. You know, at a recent award ceremony, let me quote him. He says, "Weakness is a virtue. It pays at the right time," and was defending, the fact that people have called him weak based on his response to he and his godfather's, political differences. In fact, he dedicated the award to his political godfather and was given excuses saying that the reason why he chose the path of weakness, in quotes, is in pursuit of peace. Do you agree with the statement that sometimes, or many times, especially in politics in Nigeria, weakness is a virtue?
Well, I would rather say discretion and tact, not weakness. Fubara is not weak. He was smart. So let's be real about it. Chaucer, Ruben here is a grand master in literature. Chaucer said, patience is a conquering virtue. You wait until you know when to strike. So he's not politically weak. Quite frankly, we are to be objective about this conversation. The pressure brought on him. One, he made one mistake. He started fighting too early. Two, the kind of pressure being brought on him, what was demanded of him, and the blatant assertion that you must clear everything with me is insulting, with all due respect to those who think they are godfathers. So Fubara, I believe, has taken the path that has enabled him, after a long journey, to come back to where he can be in charge of things. He wouldn't have been able to change his cabinet before now and all of that. So I won't call it weakness. I will call it some measure of political sagacity with mistakes that were available. But at the end of the day, the patience have borne fruit. The good thing he will do for Rivers State is to make sure that using this method, his tenure will eventually serve Rivers people, not those who think it's their business to hold Rivers by the neck and be taking what is the pocket of Rivers State and doing what with it.
All right. Well,
That's my take.
Thank you very much for your take this morning, Professor Ikechukwu. We look forward to seeing you again here on The Morning Show.